even though we already know. Hi, good morning. Welcome to the Oregon Fan Show, where we talk with Duck fans and college football experts about the things that make us want to shout. And I'm really excited today because our guest this morning is both a Duck fan and a college football expert. Emily Taylor, Dr. Emily Taylor, how are you this morning?
I am doing great. How are you today?
I'm fantastic. I just got news that my grandkids are coming to town next weekend, and
Oh, that's exciting.
I get to see Ethan before he starts his first year of college.
Mm.
I get to see Lizzie, who, like you, is a broadcast journalist and communicator. She is one of the hosts of Tiger TV at Timberlake High School in Timberlake, Idaho. And
That's
then
awesome.
it is awesome. Then I get to see Andrew, who's just great at being Andrew.
Love it.
Yeah, I love it too. I was jazzed to hear they're coming. Well, there's no frigate like a book, nor any courser like a page. Today we have one of the great Emilys in the world on our stage, and we're very happy to have her. Emily Taylor is the host of the Saturday Huddle podcast, a Duck fan, and a college football educator. Have I described you accurately?
I would say so. That probably touches on a little bit of everything. I appreciate it, Dale. Thank you.
Is it all right if I call you Emily?
Yeah, absolutely. You can call me Emily.
Not Dr. Taylor. We don't
No,
have to do that.
no, you do not. You absolutely do not have to do that. No.
Well, I appreciate that because you certainly worked hard to get that title, and it's
Oh, thank
not a little thing.
I appreciate that. That's usually what people tell me when I tell them that they absolutely do not have to use the doctor. They usually remind me that I worked hard to get it, but it's okay. Emily works just as well.
I get a little uncomfortable about around people who have titles and insist on having you use them. That's an
Right?
awkward thing.
It can definitely be awkward. And I much prefer kind of I don't know, the more casual approach of just the first name. It's totally comfortable for me.
Well, enough about me. Let's talk about you. There's a thing that you do on your social media page. You post daily. What brought you joy today? I absolutely love that. The subtle way you have of elevating the conversation in a place where it kind of needs elevating. Please tell us why you do that and how that started.
Yeah, I mean, it started years ago. I was on social media years ago and then I took a break for quite a while. And then when I came back in 2021, I believe, it was just something that I kind of started because I was curious what it might generate. But really, at the foundation and base of it, I think it kind of reminded me, or it kind of just lifted my mood a little bit. And so I kind of started to post about it, just to kind of like what you just alluded to lighten the place up a little bit and to see what could come from it. And throughout the years, people have really gravitated towards it, which I'm really grateful for. But I get to hear about wonderful stories, or I get to hear about hard days, or sometimes the question itself kind of can just make somebody's day better. And it takes so little time that like immediately makes it worth it to me.
That's outstanding. It's really just in itself a joyous thing. I want to talk about another joyous thing.
Yeah.
I saw this picture that you left on your social media, and I want to bring it up. It'll take me a minute because it is just fantastic stuff. And as a grandpa, it just absolutely energized me to see this moment in your life. And I am retrieving it. We had a little trouble with the audio before we started, so I'm
Right.
a little behind on some of my stuff. Here we
No, you're
go.
you're rocking it, Dale. You're way more high tech than I could ever be with my podcasts.
Oh, yeah. Well, one day we can compare notes. You can make
There
me
you
a
go.
better communicator, and I can help you with some of this jazz. Anyway, please tell us about this picture.
Yeah, I mean, I wish I had more context of the picture. I was going through pictures a little while ago, though, As I do every so often. And I came across this one with me and my grandfather, who I'm incredibly close with. And he's really the one who introduced me to professional football and baseball at a very young age. I credit my love for college football to my mom because she's the one who introduced me to that. But my grandpa is really the reason that I first started watching professional football and professional baseball. And at such a young age, I definitely idolized him. I probably still do. And he's from Chicago. And so he put on the Bears and put on the Cubs. And that's kind of just what I became comfortable with at a young age. And as I've gotten older, obviously, I've gone through different chapters of my life, as has he. And it's kind of been like our foundation. Like, so we don't live in the same state anymore, but we still have like our weekly phone calls, and one of the things that we are always talking about are sports. And so whether the Cubs are playing or the Bears or both, that's kind of something that we just gravitate towards, and it's become part of our like weekly call routine of talking about what one of the other are doing or both teams are doing, or kind of, his thoughts on certain moves or certain headlines or certain things that he's read. So I do appreciate that. I appreciate that about sports in general, kind of their ability to bring people together, even though they might not see each other very often or even talk to each other very often. I've seen it in so many different types of relationships where sports have that power of forming friendships, maintaining different types of relationships, and kind of keeping people close. And I think that's like a really good example, a really good personal example for me as to what sports have done for me and my relationship with him.
Well, that picture is just so joyous and sweet, and it immediately reminded me of Lizzie. And
Yeah.
when I look at it, that's just what you just said is the mission statement for this show that I never took
Yeah.
the time to create. That it's all about, as fans, coming together, being part of community, connecting to our parents
Totally.
and family and friends. That's what I want to celebrate, and you did it in one picture.
Yeah, I mean, it's really, I think it's something that it's easy for us to lose sight of when a season's going on, because we get so caught up in what's going on the field and the different things people are writing about and kind of the different storylines and headlines. But there's something really special about being able to attend a game with somebody that you love and somebody that you're close with who also cares about that team, and kind of having that experience with them, whether that's college or whether that's professional sports.
Emily, has your love of the Ducks given him a love of the Ducks?
Yes, actually, I mean, love might be a little too intense of a word. He definitely keeps up with them on his own. It's not anything that I have to inform him about, but he definitely keeps up with it on his own. And he'll start conversations with me about it, knowing that that's just something that I care a lot about. And so that's also something that we talk about.
Does he follow your podcast, the Saturday Huddle?
I fear he might not really know how to. I mean, this man can be so frustrating. Like, I can call him and he's kind of old school like that. So he prefers a phone call over like a text because he does not have a cell phone to text on. And he like has a cell phone that he turns on when he's out of town, and that's it. That's the only way his cell phone is on. And so in terms of like technology, I don't think there's a whole lot going on in that household, and of how he could access certain things. That kind of is what keeps him old school. But he definitely hears about it. He knows it happens. He knows, kind of what we talk about, and he loves hearing about it. But I don't think it's anything he tunes into.
So he's a lovable Luddite.
Right. Yeah. Yeah, exactly. To me, I mean, I think, he stands at 6'2" and can be really intimidating to other people. And when they see him, they're kind of a bit taken aback by his presence, but he's lovable. He's soft. Don't let that fool you.
That's wonderful. Well, ladies and gentlemen, with this imposing package of traits, brains, beauty, and ball knowledge, this could be the most exciting hour in the history of college football podcasts.
Well,
Don't.
set the bar high, Dale.
I believe in setting the bar high.
I love it.
Like with the Ducks this
Right.
season. I think the bar should be as high as it can possibly be, with the willingness to adjust it later, because things happen.
This is true. This is true. I appreciate the kind words.
Well, that's how they're meant. It's not meant to be flattery or bullshit or anything. It's just me talking about who I consider to be an extraordinary person.
No, thank you so much.
All right, let's move on.
Yeah.
Let me begin by asking you an academic style question. Since
Okay.
a multiple choice question like the GRE you once aced a few short years ago. It's 11 days until the opening kickoff of Oregon football. Achilles Smith days, Braylon Addison days, Colin Clemens, Norm Van Brocklin days. I'm using the word legends here. Are you A, stupendously excited, B, monumentally excited, C, unreservedly excited, or other specify?
God, can it be all of the above? I'm gravitating towards B though. Let's do B. Yeah. I don't think I can put into words how excited I am, which I mean is probably pretty comparable to previous seasons. But as you know, there has been a lot of hype and a lot of chatter around this particular Oregon team. And I'm really excited to finally see them take the field.
All right, talk about some of the hype and chatter. What stands out to you, please, as some indications about where this season could go?
Yeah, absolutely. So I will start with I'm not usually one who loves a ton of chatter around my team because I feel like that's a lot of pressure. However, I definitely could see many ways in which this works out in Oregon's favor, and this works out for Oregon to prove it all to be right. This feels like a really complete team. And the fact that Dante Moore came back really only adds to that overall equation. Granted, I think there are some question marks with like the OL and maybe some team cohesion that we have not necessarily seen in regard to the players that we lost to the draft and players taking those spots. However, I think there's a lot of experience and there's a lot to be excited about with this team and kind of how it's all going to come together on both sides of the ball.
It's not easy to replace a Bryce Betcher, a Jaden Kennedy, and a
Right.
Dylan Thieneman on one defense.
Right. Yeah, that can be very tricky. And I think that's naturally a question mark, and that's an understandable one for sure. So I think there's a little bit of like excitement mixed with anxiety of like, okay, what's that going to look like to start the year and then throughout the season?
Emily, do you watch the under construction videos and the Ducks versus them videos? And we've lost Emily for a moment. While she's gone, I'm sure she'll come back. I just want to talk about some of the. Oh, here she comes. She's almost back. You're back and
I'm
better
back.
than ever.
Yes. To answer your question, which I heard before I crashed, yes, I do watch the Ducks versus them and the under construction videos, which I think is what you asked me.
Yes.
Yes.
The reason I brought them up is because to me, they're a very encouraging sign of where this team is and where they might go. I think the mindset in this group is incredible.
Yeah, absolutely. I would agree. And, you know, culture alone, I think that's something that's very impressive and promising about this Oregon team.
I think it's particularly impressive the way Dan Lanning creates that culture. I had DJ Uyunglele, or excuse me, not DJ, Big Dave Uyunglele on the show the other day, and we were talking about Mateo and where the team is, and he said Dan Lanning is a pastor, and he didn't mean it in a preachy sort of way. He meant he's a guy who just cultivates truth and purpose.
Yeah. Yeah, I think Dan Lanning does a really good job. I mean, not to get corny about it, but I think he does a really good job at communicating. I think he has definitely found a way to resonate and communicate well to his football players. And I think that has done wonders for the culture overall.
Well, I should warn you that we love corny on this show. We embrace corny 100%.
Okay, good.
You know, go ahead.
Oh, no, go ahead.
I was just to say, you don't have to because you're a trained professional. But when you come on this show, you will encounter some corny.
Yeah. I mean, so, some corny can be good for sure. But yeah, I just think he's done an incredible job communicating certain messages, and we as fans get to see them in the Ducks versus Us videos every single week, especially during the season. But I think that is absolutely vital and important when it comes to creating the culture that he has.
When you look at this Duck football team, what are your certainties, challenges, and concerns?
Yeah, absolutely. So certainties, challenges, and concerns, is that what you said? So
Yes.
I think there might be some challenge on, well, kind of just taking a look at the players that we lost, like we said. I think there are some challenges and concerns with those new players coming in and kind of seeing how they mesh with the team overall, and thinking about replacing players like you said, Bryce Betcher, Dylan Thiedemann, and all of those people, as well as the OL. And when it comes to certainties, I mean, I will be the one kind of riding high with Dante Moore. I think him coming back is great. One more year under his belt is great. I feel super great about our wide receivers and kind of how the offense is going to look cohesively all together.
That's a great answer. You've done
Thank you.
this before.
I'm lucky to get to talk about a team that I love every now and then.
Well, I watched some of your Saturday Huddle podcasts to prepare for
Thank
this
you.
one, and you've had some great guests in the run
Oh,
up to
thank
the college football season. What are a couple of things that you learned from your Big Ten conversation with Clint Cosgrove, former coach and scout, the founder of ProPath Management?
Yeah, absolutely. So Clint is great. I love talking to Clint about college football because he works with NIL now, which is such a big part of modern college football, that perspective is really interesting because he remembers how college football used to be and how it is now. And so kind of really getting those different perspectives and talking about the overall landscape of the Big Ten is always incredibly fascinating. I think what we learned from Clint, especially in that episode, is that he is also riding high with Oregon. We had a lot of fun talking about, again, kind of like what you and I were just talking about, all the different positives that we have been reading this offseason about this Oregon team and what they are expected to look like this upcoming season. Clint made a really good point that when we think about teams under the most pressure this season, with that can also be Oregon because the bar is set really high and there are high expectations there. So to be able to reach those expectations can put a lot of pressure on a team. However, we're going to see the same good teams in Ohio State. He seems to think that I think it was Clint, but Indiana might not have as strong of a year as they did last year, but they're still going to have a good year. And then thinking about teams kind of on the rise. So his words, not mine. I know he mentioned USC. He talked about Washington a few too many times, and I liked him too. But those teams kind of came up, as well as Wisconsin. I know he's expecting some improvement with Wisconsin, kind of a few years since they hired a new head coach and kind of that program getting together. So it's really fascinating talking about Big Ten because, I mean, probably similar to your experience, Dale, when you enter a new conference, you're now entering conversations that include teams that you otherwise never really talked about or never really talked to their fan bases or visited their stadiums or thought about a potential matchup against Oregon. So I think it's actually super fun. That's one thing that I've loved about conference realignment, is being able to have these conversations and think about these different matchups in these places that we otherwise would not have. However, it adds kind of to the overall equation, right? Because we are going up against teams like Ohio State. Even if we don't play them every single season, they're kind of like that competition within the conference of teams.
And Emily's left us again for a minute. I apologize for the interruption. She's doing a wonderful job. She's such a great.
No, I'm having the trouble. We spent like the first few minutes with your audio and now it just like keeps kicking me out. That is not fun.
It's not
Anyway,
fun,
it's
but
not fun.
but I love the way that you're rolling with it. I like that.
Yeah, trying. So sorry. Usually hate when this happens. So sorry. But yeah, so kind of like now, whether we're not like directly playing Ohio State every single season, there's still the competition within the conference, and they are consistently a good team. So I find that particularly fascinating. Plus, you get the wonky things like Oregon traveling to Rutgers, last season, that's like something we could have never imagined a few years ago. And if we ever even thought about it, that means that Oregon had a drastic drop off, which is not fun to think about. So I find conference realignment really interesting and fascinating as an Oregon fan. And that's something that Clint and I have talked about, not just in that episode, but previously in other podcast episodes, as well as just conversations in general.
Well, money drives the whole thing, but I
Money
hope,
does.
yeah, but I hope it slows down for a little while. I'd like to kind of stay where we are for just a little bit so we can get to know all our new neighbors.
Yeah, I know. I agree. I think having a few years, if not more, to really be established within the Big Ten is important. I think that the conversation about conference realignment is one that is consistently being had in regard to, okay, we're headed towards two super conferences. What's that going to look like? Big Ten versus SEC. How are the teams going to get divvied up? As well as smaller conversations like, oh, I think Clemson's a Big Ten team. So when the ACC inevitably disintegrates, like that's a team that's going to be joining the Big Ten. And kind of just like these micro conversations are consistently being had. But I'm definitely with you. I think we should enjoy being the Big Ten, despite being like 18 teams, for a few years before realignment continues and merges more.
It's been incredible to get introduced to Rutgers, the birthplace of college football, the
Right.
Big House,
Right.
jump around, and all these great traditions and venues.
Yeah. It's been a lot of fun. The fan bases have been super fun for the most part. And it's cool being in a conference that has such a long history in regard to college football and kind of being a part of that and being able to contribute to it, because Oregon had such a good first year in the conference from a conference standpoint of being able to go undefeated and win the conference in their first year. I thought that was like such a strong introduction to Oregon in the conference and vice versa, that it's been really fun kind of being a part of it all.
It has been fun, but it frustrates me a little bit is there's a persistent meme. Oregon always chokes in the playoffs. Oregon always chokes. They won the doggone Big Ten in their first year in the league.
Yeah.
Admittedly, they lost in the playoffs, but that's an accomplishment.
Yeah, that is the thing with college football fans, is that there's always seems to be more. And I think that's kind of just the way, it's like the competitive nature of the sport and kind of all the trash talk that people engage in, is there will always be more. So even if your team wins a national championship, there will always be a team that's won more or has more Heisman winners or has done more on the field or off the field or whatever the argument at stake is. And so it's kind of one of those things you just have to roll with the
Oh, that's such a shame. I'm just going to have to learn to edit because Emily is such a great guest. And
no idea why it keeps doing this. So sorry, Dale. But it's kind of one of those things where you have to roll with the punches, because there's always going to be an argument as to what you didn't accomplish versus what you did accomplish. So I'm with you. Oregon winning the conference was absolutely a success. It was absolutely an accomplishment. But right now the focus is on the fact that Oregon has struggled in the playoffs.
And they have. Well, please remind everyone, if you would, where they can find the Saturday Huddle podcast.
Yeah, absolutely. So Saturday Huddle can be found on YouTube, Spotify, or Apple Podcasts. We also have a Twitter account, Instagram, and TikTok.
Well, folks, if you want to bone up before the season, get an overview of college football, Emily talks to all kinds of fascinating people, and she does so in that venue without me getting in the way. So it's a pretty great thing.
Thank you so much, Dale.
Oh, you're welcome. That's to prove to the big ass sponsors that I know how to do a commercial.
There you go. Yeah, you totally do.
I'm hoping. All right. As part of your professional life, you developed a website and a business called Cultivate Communication.
I did.
Would you mind telling us a little bit about that? And we'll give that a plug.
Oh, thank you so much. Yes. So, Cultivate Communication is essentially where I bring the practice of communication to all different arenas of life that are not academia. And so, I've had the pleasure of working within like HR settings as well as medical settings and different types of businesses and nonprofits to kind of just teach them how to communicate better. And this can look a variety of different ways. Sometimes it's public speaking and how to talk to clients a little bit more confidently or a little smoother. Sometimes it's handling conflict in-house and within employees and learning how to communicate through that and managing that. And sometimes it's just about mindful communication, inclusivity, psychological safety, anything communication that a particular entity could benefit from. I'm the person that can help them with that.
That's utterly wonderful. And
Thank you.
it's the heart of every business, right? Every
True.
relationship.
It's
Yeah.
true. Yes, absolutely. It's important. Communication is the foundation of almost everything that we do.
All right. If you don't mind, tell
Yeah.
everyone where they can find that website.
Yeah, absolutely. So the website is cultivatecom, which is COM.com. So kind of made it easy. Cultivatecom.com. Similarly, there's an Instagram, there's a Twitter. I try to keep up with it. I have a podcast that's about communication called Cultivate Talk, and all of it's posted on the website and then the social media accounts as well.
Outstanding.
Thank you so much, Dale.
You're welcome. It's 3rd and 1 in the red zone. Who are you handing the ball to? What are you going to do?
Oh, you're triggering. Yeah, you're catching me off guard. I want to throw it to McClellan. I'm all about McClellan this season. And Clint might be influencing me a little bit, going to go back to what Clint works with McClellan. But even before that, I am feeling very confident in him. And I'm so excited to watch him this season.
Jeremiah McClellan is a dude and
Yes.
a magician. His favorite trick is taking a football out of a defensive back's ribs.
Right.
He's just
Super
incredible.
excited. So excited for this season.
I haven't seen a receiver with. Well, it's unfortunate that this is happening, but this time it is not my fault. Emily, with all her communication skill and all of her acumen and all of her delightful information and advice and knowledge of college football, right now has a spotty internet connection, but we'll fix it. You're back.
I switched browsers, so maybe that's going to help us.
I hope so.
I hope so too. I can never remember with StreamYard if there's a particular browser that works better, but we're going to try that in hopes that I don't interrupt you again. Please go ahead.
I mean, that's life, right? Life is what you do when stuff happens.
This is true. But we were talking about McClellan.
We were.
And then my internet connection cut you off. So
I just think he's a stunning talent. I mean, some of the things, his level of concentration and the degree of difficulty in some of his catches, he's a doggone Olympic gymnast in terms of degree of difficulty.
Yes, absolutely. I think this is going to be such a great season for him. I'm putting a lot of confidence in him if I'm throwing him the ball. And I think it's just going to be a lot of fun. I'm excited to watch him this season.
Well, I like that you chose that option too. You know, Drew Maringer's got a challenge this year. On 3rd and 1, he will have a lot of options. I hope that he chooses to air it out and use the talents and take some chances and think big and be explosive.
I mean, why not? Yeah. I mean, when you asked me that question, my mind immediately went to Jeremiah McClellan, despite it being 3rd and 1. So have a lot of confidence in him. Why not be explosive?
Last year, the Ducks led all of college football with 100 plays of 20 yards or more, according to collegefootballstats.com. That's an incredible level of explosion, but this group could take it a little further.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think I mean, kind of going back to the concerns when we were talking about the concerns and kind of the challenges, I think that's also one that has come up a few times this off season, or is the fact of like new coordinators and kind of what that's going to look like, and some question marks around there. But I'm still feeling relatively, I mean, I am feeling confident about these coordinators coming in and kind of taking the helm and seeing what they do this season.
I am too. For one thing, Dan Lanning has
Right.
had three coordinators become head coaches already in
Yeah.
4 years as a head coach.
Right. Very impressive. And it speaks to the culture, right?
Definitely. I'm a little worried about Manager though. His players call him Einstein, which
Yeah.
is high praise. My computer right now, my wife put 4 books underneath my computer because she said I was too low. And the books she chose were Einstein, Eisenhower, Churchill, and Thomas Jefferson. So
Oh,
that's really elevating.
yeah. That is very elevated. Symbolic. I like that.
I did too, and I didn't choose them. She did. So she was
Yeah,
sending me a subtle message that
I think
if you're
so.
going to do this, you better come correct.
I think so. Yeah, absolutely.
So if Drew Maringer is going to do this, he better come correct. The last time he was an offensive coordinator was in 2016, and his team ranked 128th at Rutgers in scoring. So he's got all these weapons at his disposal. His players clearly have a lot of confidence in him, but does he have the chops to call plays and scheme this football team into the national championship?
This is true. And I think that's why there's been this question mark around the coordinators this offseason. But I'm feeling confident about both, and I'm excited to see kind of how they all look. And if got 11 days, like you said. Yep.
Last 2 years, Oregon's gotten out schemed in that last game. And Brad Pitt in the movie Moneyball said, nobody cares if you lose the last game.
I never saw Money. Oh, wait, no, I did see Moneyball. Yes, that's right. Okay. Yes. No one cares if you lose the last game. That's right.
Mm-hmm. Well, Maringer's the guy, and Hampton is the guy that's got to win those scheme battles, or at least pull even. Ducks have the talent to compete with anybody.
This is true.
It's a matter of health and getting to that last game with a good plan and a good mindset.
Yep. And then we're kind of thinking about playoffs in that regard, right? So like all the chatter around Oregon not being able to win the game that matters, that's when that scheme comes into play so importantly. And the coordinators will have such a role in that and kind of what that success looks like for Oregon in the long run.
Emily, I so want all those memes to die.
You and me both, Dale.
I'm tired, boss. I'm
Yeah.
tired.
Yeah. I mean, I think that's kind of like a way that social media has contributed to like college football and like the overall discussion, right? Is like the constant conversations, arguments, memes, all the different things that people go for when you're talking about Oregon or any program are the memes that you are referencing. Exactly. And they it can be exhausting.
What 10,000 uniforms, 0 natties?
Okay, that one drives me crazy. And I know I've talked about this before, so people have probably heard me talk about how it drives me crazy. Drives me crazy just because I'm just nerdy enough to understand and appreciate the fact that it's an O versus a 0. And it drives me insane that we're constantly using it as a number. It's a little thing. People will call me bitter. People will say it's because we haven't won a national championship. But no, please go back to preschool and remember numbers versus letters.
That's true.
Yeah.
This is an O. This is a 0. They are not the same. They should not be confused.
No. And it's like, it's the same old thing people have been saying for years. So really, it's not, there's like no, it's overdone at this point.
It's so tiresome. And I mean, just as you say, fans will be fans, and fans love to poke holes at the fan that is rich, cool, and has 1 million uniforms.
Yep.
Speaking of 1 million uniforms, you're kind of a uniform collector, and you've got a pretty impressive collection of Oregon jerseys.
Thank you. I I love them. It's so funny because it didn't start off as like me wanting to collect them. It kind of just like slowly turned into that. And now it's something that I pay very close attention to. And it's something that I hold close to my heart is yes, I do love my jersey collection.
Why is it close to your heart? What about it really appeals to you?
I think there are many jerseys in that collection that are memorable to me on like a personal level. So I can remember where I was when I got it or who I was with or kind of like a certain time in my life or maybe who gave it to me. And so I really like those little tidbits of like personal memories attached to each one.
So the jerseys in the closet are kind of a scrapbook.
Kind of, yeah, but it's like still surrounding like my favorite team. So that's kind of what makes it special. And granted, there are some jerseys that I have just gotten on my own, but even if I don't have a personal memory to it, there's still something that happened that season or that particular game or a player I really loved was obviously wearing it and playing in that game when a particular moment happened. So I can really instantly go back to something that's associated with that jersey.
If you would, please tap into a couple of those experiences
Yeah.
attached to jerseys or players attached to jerseys.
Yeah, absolutely. So there's one that doesn't it probably it's not like a super fancy one. It wasn't anything that was like super special, but there's one that's just like a green one that just it's an 8, but it's Mariota's obviously. And I had realized that I didn't have like this very simple Oregon jersey when I went to Mariota's last home game at Autzen Stadium.
Mm.
And so I love that jersey because again, it's simple. It's nothing super flashy. It's nothing super detailed in design, but it's one where I can instantly remember walking into the Duck store the day I'm at Autzen Stadium and grabbing it just because I wanted to have it. And I remember that being Mariota's last game. We played Colorado. We won. And it was like, and obviously, if you weren't there, but were you there? Were you there for his last game?
I don't get to go to a lot of games, maybe
Okay.
2 a year.
Okay, so even if you weren't there, as you can imagine, the standing ovation of it being his last home game was just an incredible environment. So I love that jersey, despite it not being, again, one of the flashy ones, because that's just super special. And then there's a couple that like I have been gifted, like my mom and Oregon is something that that's just one of our pillars of our relationship. It's something that we talk about, something that we engage in together. We go to games together, all this stuff, me and my mom. And similarly to my grandfather, her and I are very close. So there's some jerseys that I've been gifted by her that are super special. And then the one that I absolutely love would be that throwback jersey that has Wheaton stitched on the back from 1994. It's the Kenny Wheaton jersey. So I love,
Okay, all right.
yeah. I mean,
Kenny Wheaton's gonna score.
exactly. I could probably talk about this for a long time, but those are just a few that I absolutely, I love.
Dr. Taylor, you can talk about this as long as you like. We love that stuff at the
Oh,
Oregon Fan
well,
Show.
thank you. But yeah, you can't beat the throwback Kenny Wheaton jersey. That's too prominent, too important to our program to really overlook it.
I completely agree. My favorite among all the Oregon jerseys, all 10,000 of them, are the times that we make that bow to the past, to great
Yeah,
players like Kenny, to great moments like that interception.
yeah.
I love it when we wear green and yellow.
Yes, me too. Love
Yeah.
I do. I love it when we wear green and yellow. I think that's why like so many people probably love the throwback uniform is because that is traditional Oregon. Like that is the green and yellow. It's simple, but it perfectly encapsulates like the history of the program.
It's just cool. It's just classy. I love
Yes.
the I love the Krabby Fighting Duck. I like it when we bring him out once in a while.
I know. I'm a big fan of that too. Yeah. I
Yeah.
do. I enjoy that, but it's classic. It's timeless. It's a great ode to the program.
In that marvelous uniform history, Emily, there's been a few that were absolute total misses.
Yes, this is true. The first one that comes to my mind is the blue Webfoots one.
Oh God.
And yes, I have that jersey, and I can't bring myself to actually get rid of it because it's part of the collection. And when I think about memories, that's probably a pretty bad memory. So it's like the only jersey I have that's a pretty bad memory in the collection. Because even if like I have a jersey in a game that we lost, there's still usually some happy connection to me actually getting the jersey. But the Web Fits one, no, there's not a lot of good around that jersey. So that's the first thing I think of when I think of Mrs. Dale.
Now I might be getting this wrong. I might be confusing it with the Oregon Pioneer jersey, which was equally bad.
That
But
one wasn't good. No.
yeah, what was the blue and gold cow colored jersey we wore? Was that the game of the point where Jake Locker and the Huskies, not Jake
Yeah.
Locker,
Yeah.
Jake Browning and the Huskies destroyed the Ducks 70-18 and the odds.
So I mean, we lost. I know that that's the game that we lost. I'm pretty sure it was that one where we got absolutely dominated. Just ugliness all around. Ugly jersey, ugly game, ugly performance, ugly everything.
See, Duck fans really deserve a national title because we paid our dues.
I mean, I wholeheartedly agree, Dale. I think there's many reasons that we deserve a national championship.
Well, you talked about Marcus Mariota and that special jersey and this incredibly special moment of seeing his last game in Autzen. Jerry Allen, the voice of the Ducks, once said that Marcus Allen was not only a Heisman Trophy winner, he was a Heisman Trophy person. And I love the standard he had set for Oregon quarterbacks in terms of how you carry yourself and what your relationship is to the community.
Yeah, absolutely. He has done a stellar job even after his time at Oregon was completed, kind of staying within the community and being part of it, being like a good leader for it.
I think Dante Moore has some of those same qualities, the humility, the grace, the consciousness of, he's playing for something larger than himself. He represents more than himself. I see a lot of that in him. And I think it's a big part of why he's going to take a leap up this year.
Yeah, absolutely. I wholeheartedly agree. I had made that comparison a couple of times last season and it was met with mixed reviews. But with him coming back and kind of seeing how he's matured only further and developed only further and kind of what we're going to be seeing on the field in 11 days, I think that is a even more fair comparison than even when it was made last season.
He definitely has his own style, and I'm glad that he does. But he has that cool, that relaxed sort of one of the guys feel about him. And it's become even more evident this year with the trip to Japan and some of the way he handled Big Ten media days. He's just more comfortable in his own skin.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah, I think that's a really good way of putting it. And that confidence and maturity is shining through.
People talk about his processing or making fewer mistakes, but it all starts there with where his head is at, with where he views himself, with how comfortable he is in being the man. And he is the man. And this year we expect more, and we're going to get it.
Right. And we saw that be beneficial with Mariota, right? It's like when he came back for his final year at Oregon, that development and that maturity shown, like he was able to showcase that even more on the field, and it led to a very successful season.
I also like that Oregon quarterbacks come back. It means something special to be an Oregon quarterback because Marcus Mariota came back for another year. Justin Herbert came back for another year. Bo Nix came back for another year. It's a legacy.
Yeah, I know it is. It's a good thing culturally, and it's good for the program for sure.
Well, you are good for the program and the culture, and it is delightful to have you on our show. I thank you so much for visiting. Do you have any final thoughts or anything that you want to say?
I mean, thank you so much, Dale. This is so much fun. I love being able to talk about Oregon for this amount of time. I really appreciate you having me on, being able to talk about Saturday Huddle, my work, jerseys, everything. Super sorry for the tech problems, all those interruptions. But no, this has been great. I'm super excited for the season.
I had a guy on just yesterday. His
Yeah.
name is Randy from the HBTF Dogs podcast in Georgia.
Yeah.
And he said, be yourself, show up every day, and your people will find you.
This is true.
That was incredible advice.
Yes, this is true. That's good advice. Absolutely.
Yeah, Chad Dewing told me that I need to tone down my 3 cups of coffee delivery. But the weird part about that is I don't even drink coffee. But he's right. I got to be a little more relaxed and more natural, but we'll get that right.
You be you. This is great. This is super fun. This was an awesome time. Thank you so much.
Yeah, Randy's wife said, "Oh, that's going to be a fun show." Well,
Yeah.
that's what I want to be, is the fun show.
Yes, be the fun show. We need more fun. It does not need to be serious all the time.
I can do a little bit of 22 personnel and some of that stuff, but I don't want to.
Right.
QB11 and the other guys do that so well.
They
I'd
do.
rather talk about what it's like to be at the tailgate and all
Yeah.
these great players that we remember.
Absolutely. And what you're doing contributes to the community and the fan base and kind of those different components that make college football so special.
Well, I hope so, and you certainly do as well. Thank you so much for coming on. Have a wonderful day.
You too. Thanks so much, Dale.